I have trouble hearing. Like Beethoven.
I'm a Buddhist, and I'm also very interested in the resurgence of the divine feminine. My question is, are you aware of the influence of Kanze on the Bodhisattva of compassion, or Sophia, the feminine wisdom of God, in your work? Did you catch that?
I don't think it was all about it. It's about the resurgence and interest in the divine feminine.
I'm a Buddhist myself.
She's a Buddhist.
In relation to the Bodhisattva of compassion, for example, or Sophia, the feminine wisdom of God.
You know, I don't know if I'm the right man to answer that question, but those distinctions are of course very important, and those matters are very important in certain realms of investigation. But I remember when I had my first interview with my teacher, who is now just turned 100 in April. But 40 years ago, when I had my first private interview with him, the first thing he said to me, he said, he didn't speak English very well, but he got the message of it very clearly to me. He said, "You not Jewish, I not Buddhist." That's the first thing he said to me.
I'd like to ask Leonard if you have any advice on how to grow old.
You have advice on how to grow up? I'm very interested. Oh yeah, I have a lot of advice. None of it comes to mind.
You spent a long time on Mount Baldi. Was that a creative time, or do you see it as years lost?
I don't think you can lose years, first of all. I think they kind of hang around in one realm or another. But my time at Mount Baldi was a wonderful time. The opportunity to study with Sasaki Roshi was a great privilege. And also, you know, I learned how to cook and do a lot of carpentry. And, speaking about longing in the Buddhist context. You know, I've got to tell you something. I was never really interested in Buddhism. No, I don't want to say this in any kind of scornful way. I mean, the man who is my dearest and most beloved and most precious friend is a Buddhist and a monk. I had a perfectly good religion. I was not interested in another religion. So when I began to study with this Roshi, it was not because I found anything lacking in my own religion. My own religion is rich and abundant in all the insights that Roshi was able to make clear to me. I bumped into him 40 years ago. And I saw a man who was much more comfortable in the world than I was. And that's all I saw. And I was interested in penetrating or understanding this sense of ease that he had in this very painful world of suffering and incomprehensibility. So I determined that I would study with him, and because he was, from his own background, a monk who had established the monastic system, it was appropriate for me to shave my head and put on robes and become ordained so that I could enter into his structure. There was no other way to do it, and I was happy to do it, and I am happy to do it. And we just had tea last week, and he's 100 years old and is in radiant health, and is still at home in the world, and a little bit of it has rubbed off on me, and I'm very, very grateful, and that's my story of Buddhism.
Only a few more minutes, but there's a lady in red there and a gentleman there, a lady there in red.
I remember reading Beautiful Losers back in Montreal, and I've always wondered whether you would write another novel, and perhaps Philip Glass could turn it into an opera.
Would you write another novel, and would Philip then turn it into an opera? This is a really short question.
Well, actually, Philip and I were talking about setting some pieces of Beautiful Losers to music. We were just talking about that last week.
That's a real possibility.
As a completely separate project?
Yeah, something. This piece is the realization and the work of the piece has been completed. We will all be performing it for a while now, maybe a year or two. Leonard has some other work to do, and perhaps after that, we thought that we might come again, but it's something differently. Maybe not a song piece, or maybe a spoken piece.
Yes, Mr. Cohen, it seems as you just said that you have come into terms with your life and you have a sense of sweetness now. So my question is, what do you enjoy more in life now, and what is the main lesson that you have concluded with your experience about life? And what do you enjoy more?
What do you enjoy most in your life right now?
Right now.
Me?
Yes.
I guess what I most enjoy is not having to ask myself that question anymore.
Leonard, you've already recorded the Book of Longing, and assuming Philip doesn't lend me his 4 CDs, are you going to release it on CD?
Are you going to release your recordings of the Book of Longing on CD?
No, Leonard's recording. The
My spoken word
Yeah.
recording. Well, if Philip would consent to do an arpeggiated background.
You mean in the unnatural, in the form that he read it?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people would be very pleased to do that.
Yeah, we are.
Sadly, we've come to the end of this. Thank you very much for listening.